Hi again, Rampage fans. Dan Weiss for SARampage.com. Welcome to September here inside the AT&T Center. Soon enough, we're going to be putting the ice down, getting ready for hockey opening night coming up on October the 8th. Well, earlier this week, I got a chance to chat with Rampage head coach Ray Edwards here for a special edition of Views for the Press Box. Here's a little bit of what the coach had to say as he prepares for the upcoming training camp. Talking with Coach Ray Edwards, probably going to be the last time we talk to you before you head out to Phoenix for training camp. Tell us a little bit about what you and Jeff have been doing here these last couple of weeks as you get set to go.
Well, mostly just preparation. The schedule came out obviously, so we're going through the travel aspect of it, the practice days, when you're going to work out, where we're going to stay on the road. I mean, it's just the busy work that's got to get done. On top of that, we're putting our plan together for the season and how we're going to operate training camp, and we're going through personnel and trying to figure out our team buildings. I mean, just there's a magnitude of things that have to get done, and now that we've got Brian coming in as well, so we're just trying to get through job descriptions, making sure everyone knows exactly what they're up to.
3 new guys on the team or potentially on the team since we last spoke to you. All 3 coming by way of the Rockford Ice Hogs, Bracken Kearns, Joe Fallon, and Peter MacArthur. Give us a little insight into what each of those guys brings to the table.
Well, Bracken was a guy that we had, definitely had him on our radar. I mean, he's a guy, I got to meet him years ago, and a good friend of mine coached in Milwaukee. I sort of followed him. The biggest thing about Bracken is just the type of person he is, the character he brings, his work ethic, how hard he competes. He's just a guy you want to have on your team. Pete MacArthur is another guy that Brad and I talked about. He's going to be a depth guy. He's a guy that can play in the top 6 if he needs to, but adds depth in your team. He's a hard-working guy. He's a penalty killer. We think he can provide some offense for us. And then obviously Fallon is a goaltender that we've seen over the last couple of years. A big guy, takes up a lot of net, and sort of the philosophy in Phoenix is you like to have those big guys. Berkey loves working with those big guys, and I think he just adds more depth to our goaltending position, and we're excited about all those guys.
Lee Stepniak just signs a 2-year deal with the Phoenix Coyotes earlier this week. That's not only good news for the organization, but it's good news for the Rampage, because it probably means one less guy is going to make the Coyotes, and it's going to be with the Rampage this year.
Well, yeah, it's good news for us, but unfortunately for one particular guy, it means his path to the NHL may be a little bit slower than what he'd hoped, but it gives us depth is what it does. And Lee obviously had a great stint with Phoenix when he went there after the deal from Toronto. I know Dave's a fan of his, and the organization is, so it's good for the organization to add more depth, and it creates more competition there for camp. And you're trying to always create that internal competition for space, and they're going to have it there, and we're definitely going to have it here.
You talked about the schedule that came out last week, and it sets up real nicely for you at the beginning. 9 out of your first 11 at home. Talk about that, the opportunity to get off to a good start, and you must like having to play 14 games in November, assuming we win a few of them, as opposed to 8 last year, where obviously the time between games was really spaced out.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to go the full week without a game in there, and we don't have a whole lot of weeks where you're practicing 4 or 5 days in a row. It just gets monotonous. So I like the way the rodeo road trip works this year. We get to get home. There obviously are challenges, as there are every year, but definitely the first 2 months we got to get out of the gates, and it goes without saying that November has to be better than it has the last couple of years here. So I'm very confident that the first two months of the season this year will get off to the start we need, which will put us in position to dictate the rest of the season.
Coach, good luck in Phoenix. We'll see you in San Antonio at the end of the month.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay. That'll do it for this edition of Views from the Press Box. For SARampage.com, I'm Dan Weiss.